Antarctica is the last frontier. It holds our imagination. Old maps that said, "Here be monsters."
Antarctica is one of the strangest and most mysterious places on Earth. Unlike other continents, it is not filled with cities, farms, highways, or huge populations of people. Instead, it is almost completely covered in thick sheets of ice, some of which are more than 2 miles deep. The temperatures are brutally cold, reaching levels that no normal person could survive in for long without heavy protection. The winds can be so strong that they cut through clothing like knives, and the nights last for months at a time. It is a place that seems almost alien, and yet it sits right here on our planet. Because of these extreme conditions, very few people live in Antarctica. And those who do are mostly scientists, researchers, and a small number of military or support crews. Most of them stay only for a short time before returning home, leaving the frozen land once again to the silence of nature. But every now and then, strange stories leak out of this frozen desert. These stories are so unusual and so unsettling that they make us wonder if Antarctica is hiding secrets far beyond anything we have been told. One of the most chilling of these stories involves a group of Navy SEALs who were sent on a mission in Antarctica and reported encountering something they could not explain. What they saw was not a storm, not just ice, and not the normal dangers of survival in the freezing cold. According to their account, they saw something alive beneath the ice, something that looked almost human but was not human at all. This creature, which later became known in internet discussions as the Ning-Jan, has become one of the most fascinating and terrifying mysteries linked to Antarctica. The story begins with a simple military mission. Like many operations in Antarctica, it was meant to support scientific work. The Antarctic Treaty, signed in the mid-1900s, made the continent off-limits to military conquest or war. No country is supposed to own Antarctica, and no armies are allowed to set up permanent bases there. The only military presence that is permitted is support work, such as transporting equipment, food, and fuel to scientists working in the harsh environment. So when a small team of Navy SEALs was sent out to assist on a supply run and to check on some frozen areas near a research station, nothing about it seemed unusual. They were trained for extreme conditions, and they had the skills to handle whatever nature threw at them. But as they reached one particular frozen lake, what they experienced was anything but routine. At first, the lake seemed perfectly normal. It was covered with thick sheets of ice and surrounded by snow. But as they looked down through the clearer sections of the ice, they noticed movement. At first they thought it was a seal. Seals live in the waters around Antarctica and are commonly seen slipping under the ice or poking their heads through breathing holes. But this figure under the ice was different. It was larger. Its shape was strange. It seemed to drift in a way that did not match the swimming style of any known sea animal. Then the figure rose closer to the surface, and the seals saw it clearly. It was pale, almost white, with skin that looked smooth and human-like. It had arms, but they were longer than normal human arms, and they stretched out in a way that looked unnatural. Its head was round and smooth, with features that were hard to make out. But the worst part was the eyes. They were empty, unreadable, and gave the men a feeling of deep unease, as if they were staring into something that should not exist. The creature stayed in view for only a short time, then sank back into the blackness below the ice and disappeared. The SEALs stood in shock. These were men trained to deal with fear, trained to face combat, trained to face the unknown. But nothing in their training had prepared them for this. They had just seen something that looked alive, something that seemed intelligent. And yet it was not human, not animal, not anything they could identify. Later, when parts of this story leaked online, the creature was given the name Ning-Jan, a Japanese word meaning human. It has been described by others who claim to have seen it as a giant, pale humanoid living in the waters of the Southern Ocean near Antarctica. Some descriptions say it is 20 to 30 meters long, with arms, legs, and even fingers. Others say it is more whale-like, but with a human-shaped face. Some people believe it is just a myth or a misidentified animal, such as a large albino ray or a strange species of whale. But the descriptions given by the SEAL team, along with the detail in their account, make it hard to brush off as a simple mistake. They were trained observers, used to identifying threats quickly and accurately. If they believed this was something extraordinary, then perhaps it was. And if such a creature exists, hiding beneath the ice of Antarctica, then what else could be hiding there as well? The story of the Navy SEALs and the Ning Yan spread across the internet, especially on forums and Reddit threads, where people often share strange encounters and unexplained mysteries. While many laughed at the story, or dismissed it as fiction, others took it more seriously. After all, Antarctica is one of the least explored places on Earth. More than 90% of the continent is covered in ice. And much of the ocean beneath and around it is still a mystery. Scientists admit that we know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the deep, dark waters under the Antarctic ice sheets. This means that if there are creatures hiding there, we might never know unless someone accidentally stumbles upon them. And that is exactly what makes the SEAL's story so haunting. But the Ningan is not the only strange report linked to Antarctica. Over the years, there have been whispers of hidden bases. Massive underground caves warmed by volcanic heat and ancient structures buried beneath the ice. Some believe that Antarctica could be holding ruins of an ancient civilization, one that existed long before our known history. Conspiracy theorists claim that Nazi expeditions in the 1930s and 1940s went to Antarctica searching for secret technology, and some say that they even built hidden facilities there. While much of this is speculation and rumor, the fact remains that Antarctica has always been surrounded by mystery. Even explorers in the 1800s wrote about strange lights, unusual animal sightings, and eerie feelings of being watched on the ice. These stories create a perfect stage for the legend of the Ningen. If a giant humanoid creature really exists beneath the ice, then it could explain why so many expeditions report unusual events. Some researchers have tried to connect the Ningen to known animals. For example, giant squid are known to exist in the deep oceans, and they can grow to sizes that once seemed impossible. For years, sailors told tales of massive squid attacking ships. But scientists dismissed it as myth until real giant squid were finally caught on camera. This shows that legends sometimes have a root in reality. Could the Ningen be another case of this? A legend based on a real but undiscovered creature? The possibility becomes even more interesting when we look at another strange case linked to the ocean, the USS Stein incident. In the 1970s, the USS Stein, U.S. Navy destroyer escort, reported damage to its sonar dome after patrolling in the Pacific. When the ship was inspected, the technicians found that the protective coating on the sonar dome had been badly scratched. When we think about the mysteries of our planet, most of us picture the endless stars in the sky, the vast reaches of outer space, or the strange landscapes of distant worlds we have not yet torn apart. Stuck in the material were pieces of what looked like the claws of a giant squid. But these pieces were far larger than any squid known at the time. Some of the cuts in the dome were several feet long, suggesting that the creature responsible was enormous. This discovery shocked experts, because it proved that something massive was living in the depths of the ocean. Something far larger and more powerful than scientists had believed possible. If such a creature could damage a Navy ship, then what else could be hiding in the deep? And if a giant squid could exist unseen for so long, then perhaps the Ningen or something like it could also remain hidden beneath the ice of Antarctica. What connects both the USS Stein incident and the Ningen sightings is the idea that our oceans are still mostly unexplored. Scientists estimate that more than 80% of the ocean has never been mapped, observed, or studied in detail. This means that the majority of the creatures living in it are still a mystery to us. Every year, new species are discovered, many of them in deep waters that were once thought to be barren. Some of these creatures look so strange and alien that they seem like science fiction. Transparent fish, glowing jellyfish, massive worms, and bizarre deep-sea predators are all part of our real world. So, when people report seeing something unusual in the ocean, it should not be dismissed too quickly. It could be another discovery waiting to happen. The Ningen story, combined with the history of mysterious ocean encounters, forces us to question how much we really know about our planet. If the SEALs truly saw what they claimed, then humanity may not be alone in Antarctica. There could be other forms of life large, intelligent, and possibly ancient, have remained hidden beneath the ice for centuries. The mystery of what the Navy SEALs saw in Antarctica has never been fully explained. Officially, there are no records confirming their encounter. The U.S. military, as expected, has remained silent on the matter. When strange sightings occur, especially involving classified missions or elite units like the SEALs, the details rarely make it into public reports. This leaves us with secondhand accounts, online discussions, and whispers of truth buried beneath layers of secrecy. Some people believe the story was invented as entertainment, a modern myth created for the internet age. But others argue that the detail and the consistency of the descriptions point to something real. If it were just a hoax, why would it line up so well with other unexplained reports from the region? And why would so many people across different countries describe seeing something similar? One of the strongest arguments in favor of the story is the simple fact that Antarctica is the perfect hiding place. It is massive, remote, and hostile to human life. With its endless stretches of ice and water, it is easy to imagine creatures living there undisturbed. Scientists have discovered entire ecosystems under the ice, powered not by sunlight but by geothermal heat and chemicals in the water. These ecosystems are filled with unique life forms that have never been seen anywhere else on Earth. If such strange and alien-looking organisms exist on a small scale, then why not on a larger one? Why not a massive humanoid-like creature that has evolved to survive in freezing waters? Some theories suggest that the Ning could be an undiscovered type of whale or marine mammal, one that evolved a more human-like shape. Others believe it could be something much older. It's perhaps a relic from prehistoric times when the Earth's oceans were home to creatures far stranger than what we see today. Then there are the more extreme theories, those who say the Ning could be linked to extraterrestrials, or to secret experiments hidden away in Antarctica's vast, unexplored regions. While these ideas may sound far-fetched, they continue to fuel interest in the mystery. What is certain is that Antarctica remains one of the least explored areas of our planet. Every expedition uncovers new information, new landscapes, and sometimes new life. And yet, so much remains untouched. The SEAL's story may be one of the few glimpses we have into what truly lies beneath the ice. Whether it was the Ning, a misidentified animal, or something else entirely, the experience left them shaken. And it left the rest of us with questions that may never be fully answered. Perhaps that is what makes the story so powerful. It forces us to look beyond the surface of our everyday lives and remember that Earth is still a place of mysteries. The oceans still hold secrets. The ice still hides ancient things. And even in the modern world of satellites and science, there are still places we do not understand. Antarctica is one of those places. The Navy SEALs who stood on the edge of that frozen lake saw something that challenged their view of reality. They saw something that suggested our planet may hold far more than we realize. And until more is revealed, their story will continue to haunt us, reminding us that the world is not as ordinary as it seems. Beneath the ice, in the darkest waters, something may still be waiting. Explored, we imagine Mars, Jupiter's moons, or even exoplanets far outside our solar system. But what if I told you that one of the greatest mysteries might not be out there in space, but right here on Earth, hidden beneath layers of ice at the bottom of the world? Antarctica, a land so silent and untouched, holds secrets that even the best scientists can only guess at. For centuries, explorers have looked at maps of Antarctica with wonder and fear. Early sailors considered it a place where monsters might live. Later, as science advanced, we came to understand its geography, but the sense of mystery never went away. Even today, with satellites orbiting our planet and technology that can scan through ice, Antarctica still manages to keep its secrets. Most of the continent remains unexplored. Its icy covering hides entire mountains, lakes, rivers, and possibly things we cannot even imagine. This makes it the perfect setting for stories of the unknown. But here's the thing sometimes. Those stories don't come from dreamers, writers, or conspiracy theorists. Sometimes they come from the people we expect to be the most grounded in reality. Trained military personnel, scientists, and explorers. That is why the tale of the Navy SEALs in Antarctica has captured so much attention. These are not the type of people to make up stories or let their imagination run wild in the middle of a mission. Their job depends on discipline, focus, and being able to tell the difference between what is real and what is not. And yet, when their mission took them to a frozen lake in Antarctica, what they reported was so strange, so unbelievable, that it has become one of the most chilling modern mysteries. Before we dive into the details of what they saw, it's important to understand why Antarctica is such a unique and haunting place. Unlike anywhere else on Earth, it is both empty and alive. Empty because humans cannot survive there long without help. There are no permanent towns, no families living there generation after generation, no busy markets or noisy streets, but at the same time, it is alive with wildlife and natural wonders. Penguins march across the ice in enormous colonies. Seals and whales move through the freezing waters. Strange fish and microscopic organisms live even in sub-zero lakes under the glaciers. Antarctica is like a natural fortress, keeping out humanity but allowing life that has adapted over millions of years to flourish in complete isolation. This isolation is part of why the Antarctic Treaty was signed in 1959. At the height of the Cold War, when countries were competing for land and power, world leaders came together and agreed that Antarctica would be different. It would not belong to one nation. It would not become a battleground. Instead, it would be set aside for peace and science. This was a rare moment in history when rival countries actually agreed to share something for the sake of knowledge. And so, Antarctica became a land of researchers and occasional military support crews whose job was to assist. It's not to conquer. But as peaceful as the treaty sounds, it has also fueled endless speculation. Why is Antarctica the one place on Earth where no one is allowed to claim land or build armies? Is it really just because of science? Or could there be something more hidden beneath the ice? Something so big that no single country can be allowed to control it? These questions have inspired countless theories, from secret Nazi bases to alien spacecraft buried in the glaciers. Some of these theories may sound wild, but the fact that so much of the continent remains unexplored makes people wonder, could some of them actually hold a grain of truth? Now add to that the reports of strange creatures, particularly the one known as the Ningen. For years, whispers of this mysterious human-like being have circulated in Japan and on the internet. Described as a pale, humanoid figure with long arms and an eerie, featureless face, the Ningen is said to live in the freezing waters near Antarctica. Most people dismissed it as a myth or a misidentified animal. After all, sailors and fishermen throughout history have invented legends to explain the things they didn't understand. But the Navy SEAL account is different. It is not just a fisherman's tale or a blurry photograph. It is a first-hand report from one of the world's most elite military teams. This is what makes the story so unsettling. The SEALs were not looking for creatures. They were not on an adventure hoping to discover legends. They were on a mission, routine, structured, and focused. And yet, what they saw shook them so deeply that it could not be ignored. It is one thing for an ordinary person to claim they saw something strange in the ice. It is another thing entirely when trained professionals describe it in detail. But what exactly did they see? That is the question that brings us to the heart of this mystery. As they approached the frozen lake, expecting nothing more than cold wind and shifting ice, they noticed movement beneath the surface. At first they thought it was a seal, but the longer they looked, the more they realized it was something else entirely. What rose beneath the ice that day has haunted discussions of Antarctica ever since. Antarctica's mysteries do not begin and end with the Navy SEAL encounter. In fact, long before modern explorers and scientists set foot on the frozen continent, ancient maps hinted at something unusual hiding beneath the ice. One of the most famous examples is the Piri race map, created in 1513 by a Turkish admiral. What makes this map so strange is that it appears to show the coastline of Antarctica yet. Antarctica was not officially discovered until the early 1800s, 300 years later. Even more puzzling, the coastline shown on the map looks as though it is ice-free, which would suggest that whoever charted it saw the land before it was buried under glaciers. Skeptics argue that this is a coincidence, or that the mapmaker copied coastlines from other areas. But believers point to it as evidence that ancient civilizations may have explored Antarctica long before us, perhaps when the continent's climate was very different. If this is true, then who were these early explorers, and what knowledge did they have that we no longer do? Fast forward to the 20th century, and Antarctica continued to attract both curiosity and secrecy. During World War II, Nazi Germany launched an expedition to the continent, claiming part of it as New Swabia, while the official reason was to secure whaling resources. Rumors quickly grew that the Nazis were searching for something far more mysterious: hidden caves, advanced technology, or even ancient artifacts buried beneath the ice. Conspiracy theories suggest they may have built secret bases there, some of which could still exist, hidden from the world, though no concrete proof has ever been found. The very idea of military forces establishing secret footholds in such a remote location adds another layer of intrigue to Antarctica's already mysterious reputation. In the decades since, reports of unusual phenomena have only increased. Satellite images sometimes reveal strange shapes beneath the ice-perfectly geometric structures, dome-like shadows, or what appear to be massive entrances to caves. Most scientists explain these away as natural formations caused by ice movement and erosion. But to those who follow the theories, these anomalies could be signs of something artificial, possibly ancient ruins buried deep below. If such structures exist, it would completely rewrite human history. Some theorists even suggest that Antarctica might be the true location of the lost city of Atlantis, preserved under miles of ice. Adding to the mystery are reports of unusual magnetic readings and unexplained anomalies detected during surveys of the continent. In some regions, compasses behave unpredictably, and instruments pick up strange signals, while most of these anomalies can be explained by geology or interference. They still fuel speculation that Antarctica holds more secrets than it reveals. But perhaps the most unsettling part of all is the possibility that life in Antarctica is not limited to penguins. Seals are microscopic organisms. The Navy SEALs' encounter with the Ningen is only one of many strange stories suggesting the presence of unknown creatures. Fishermen near the Southern Ocean have reported seeing pale human-like forms in the water. Some claim to have witnessed massive shapes moving beneath their boats, too large to be ordinary whales. In Japan, sightings of the Ningen have become part of modern folklore, with sailors describing encounters that match the descriptions given by the seals almost perfectly. These consistent accounts, separated by oceans and cultures, raise the question: are people really seeing the same thing? Scientists, of course, remain cautious. They argue that eyewitness accounts are unreliable, especially in extreme environments where fatigue, stress, and weather can play tricks on the mind. But even they admit that the ocean is still largely unexplored. With more than 80% of it unmapped, the chance that unknown species exist is extremely high. History has already shown us that creatures once thought to be legends like the giant squid turned out to be real. For centuries, sailors told stories of massive tentacled beasts pulling ships under the waves, and scientists dismissed it as nonsense. Then, in the 21st century, giant squid were finally filmed alive in the deep ocean. If such a massive creature could remain hidden for so long, what else might be lurking in the dark waters beneath Antarctica's ice? The seal's story, combined with centuries of strange reports and modern anomalies, creates a chilling possibility. Antarctica might be more than just a frozen wasteland. It might be a vault, a place where the past, present, and future collide. It could be holding remnants of ancient civilizations, secret military operations, undiscovered ecosystems, and possibly intelligent life forms we have not yet recognized. And if even part of this is true, then the world we think we know is far smaller and stranger than we realize. What makes this even more compelling is the secrecy that often surrounds Antarctica. Military missions are rarely discussed openly. Scientific findings sometimes remain classified for years. And whenever unusual discoveries are made, whether strange structures on satellite images are unusual, sightings at CSD are often quickly dismissed or explained away. This pattern of silence and denial only adds to the suspicion. If there is truly nothing to hide in Antarctica, then why does it continue to generate so much mystery and speculation? For the Navy SEALs who stood on that frozen lake, none of these theories mattered in the moment. They were not thinking about ancient maps, Nazi bases, or hidden cities. They were thinking about what was moving beneath their feet, staring back at them from under the ice. That brief encounter left them shaken. Their story has since traveled far beyond the icy continent, sparking debates, research, and endless fascination. Whether the creature was real or a case of mistaken identity, the fact remains. Something extraordinary happened that day. And until more evidence comes to light, Antarctica will continue to hold its secrets close, waiting for the next team braver, unlucky enough to uncover them. The Earth still holds places we barely understand, and Antarctica may be the strangest of them all. Beneath its endless ice lies a world hidden from human eyes, a place where myths and reality blur together. For years, whispers of strange creatures and secret encounters have haunted this frozen land. But one story stands out above the rest. A team of Navy SEALs, trained for anything, claimed to see something that defied explanation beneath the Antarctic ice. What they found was not just unusual, it was terrifying, and it may change the way we think about our planet forever.